Good morning, everyone. Today, yes, we are going to begin with a new lesson, and that's staff morale. So, as you can see on the slide, staff morale, yes. So, in this chapter, we'll be doing what are the outlines which we'll be covering in this lesson. We'll be covering the definition, the meaning of the staff morale, the characteristic of staff morale. Then we'll be doing morale productivity matrix. We'll be doing factors influencing morale. Then we'll be doing the methods of raising morale. We'll be doing indicators of low morale, importance of teamwork, and measures for building effective team. So all these factors, all these outline, we'll be covering in this lesson, in this chapter. Have I made myself clear? Okay. When I talk about morale, what is the meaning of the word morale? Morale refers to the mental condition or attitudes of individual and groups in an organization. So morale is nothing but it refers to the mental condition or attitudes of individuals and groups in an organization. So that is the meaning of the word morale. That means what is your mental condition or attitudes, okay, of an individual or a group of a person. So when an employee's morale is higher, then what happened? His enthusiasm will be higher, his loyalty will be higher, his willingness to cooperate will be higher. So poor morale on the other side will be showing. He'll be employee will be disliking the job, the organization. He'll always be complaining. All that factor could be seen. So let's see what is staff morale. As I told you, morale refers to the mental condition or attitudes of individual and group in an organization. Morale therefore means a state of mind and emotion affecting the attitude and willingness to work, which in turn affects the individual and organizational objective. So that is what the morale is. One definition can be written for morale. If you take out a pen in your hand, everyone, and open your register and write down. Open a register and write down, please. In your register, everyone. One definition can be written according to Theo Hyman. According to Theo Hyman, morale is a state of mind. According to Theo Hyman, morale is a state of mind and emotions affecting the attitude and willingness to work. Write down. According to Theo Hyman. What's the spelling of the word Theo? T-H-E-O. Theo. Hyman. H-A-I-M-A-N-N. Hyman, comma. Morale is a state of mind and emotions, comma, affecting the attitude and willingness to work. Which in turn affects individual and organizational objective, which in turn affects individual and organizational objectives, which in turn affects individual and organizational objectives. Have I made myself clear? Okay. So again, you can write down this definition. I think that is more feasible. Yes, that definition is more feasible. A very sober definition which you can write down, no problem with that. Now we will move on to see what are the different characteristic of morale. What are the different but before I go to characteristic, I must know some features of morale. That is, morale is a byproduct of group relationship. It reflects a degree of willingness and enthusiasm with which the member of a group can carry out their assignments. Morale is dynamic in nature. That is, it keeps on changing. It cannot be developed overnight. Managers have to make a continuous effort to build and maintain high morale. That means it's not a day affair. It is not built overnight. A continuous effort has to be made by the manager so that the morale is built. Morale is a long-term concept. It's contagious. That means individuals transmit attitudes to one another. Right? That is what morale is. It's a basically these all are the characteristic which I am doing. So we can have one more slide for this, the characteristic, and one few more characteristic can be done for morale. That is, morale is as I told you, morale is, you can see in the features. Could you see? Yes. Morale is basically a psychological concept. Now you see the slide once again. It's a psychological concept as a mental phenomena which once started permeates in the entire group, right? And morale, point number 2, morale is a group phenomena, continues, consisting of a pattern of attitudes, a sum total of employees' attitude, feelings and sentiment. That means all the employees' feelings, sentiments and all everything are brought together. Point number 3, morale is an indicator of attitudes of employees towards their job, how the employees are taking their job, their superior, the work environment, the organization. It reflects his mental health. That means how an employee is doing things. Have I made myself clear? So these are the characteristics of staff morale. Very short lesson. So today we'll be just stopping till here. In this slide, we'll not be doing much thing. So in this slide, we have covered 2 things, rather 3 things: meaning of morale, definition of staff morale, and the characteristic of staff morale. So once again, I'll be summing up a little bit on the characteristic in the next slide. I'll be starting with it. So you just do the revision, and if anybody has a doubt, can ask me anything about it. By the meantime, I think that much is enough for this slide. And above all, yes, you all are doing the question answers. Don't leave anything for the last moment. All the assignments should be completed for the previous lesson. Nothing should be left. Okay. Nobody will leave anything for the last moment. Anything should not be left for the last moment. Have I made myself clear? Okay. Thank you.
Hello learners. The topic we are starting today is morale. So morale is also a topic of organizational behavior. So it is also one of the important topic. There are plenty of questions being asked in the morale section. So let's start with the topic. So the topic we will be covering today is the different content we will be covering today are meaning and definition. What are the meaning and definition of morale? Then motivation and morale. What is the connection between motivation and morale? Then factors affecting influencing employee morale, individual morale and group morale, low morale and high morale. Then symptoms of low morale and high morale, how to boost morale, and morale and productivity. So these are the topic of discussion. So let's start with the topic. So what is the meaning of morale? Morale is a capacity of a group of people to pull together persistently and consistently in pursuit of a common purpose. So when we have a common purpose, and it is mostly a capacity of a group of people. So when we talk about organizational morale and when we talk about any organization, there must be a group of people. So we are talking about capacity of a group of people, and what they are doing, they are trying to pull together persistently and constantly in pursuit of a common purpose. So there must be a common purpose also. So this is a definition of morale, and it was given by Alexander H. Linton. So you have to learn that. Okay, so key terms and interpretation, there are intangible term, esprit de corps, then overall attitude of individual and group reside in the mind and emotions. So these are the important key terms of the morale topic. Okay, so it is residing in the mind and emotions of the people. And intangible term, morale is intangible, of course, and it is a group or collective activity. So according to Michel J. Jussius, morale what is it? It is the attitude of mind. What does it do? It affects the mind. Where does it reside? The mind and emotions. What does it affect? The interaction. Whom does it affect? Employer, group, will everyone who works together. So this is the important definition. You can understand that by classifying what, where, whom. So how? So these are the important questions which can be answered while discussing about morale. Then what is the difference between motivation and morale? So we have a table right in front of you. So there is certain basis which is given, and then there is a motivation and morale. So when we talk about state of disposition, so when we talk about motivation is individual response, and morale is about group behavior. Then there is a concept. When we talk about motivation is a narrow concept because it only explains about why, okay, aspect of behavior. But morale is a wider concept that explains totality of interaction. When we talk about mutual belongingness, motivation is a motivated person tend to experience high morale. Okay, a person in high morale group need not to be motivated. So if someone is having high morale, he will be self-motivated. But if a person is motivated, he can gain the high morale. That is the mutual belongingness. Then means of doing. Then when we talk about motivation, there is a combination of carrot and stick approach. It means that we also provide them reward and we also give them punishment. But when we talk about morale, there is only favorable approach. Okay, there is no such punishment approaches related with the morale section. And then when we talk about organizational aspect, when we study about motivation, it is more direct attention. There is more direct attention given to the people. But when we talk about morale, people behavior influences indirectly. So when we talk about morale building, we are talking about to influence the behavior of people indirectly. Then there are difference on the basis of studies and research. So on the basis of studies and research, motivation extensively explored and intensely studied. But we talk about so much theories of motivation, but there are not a lot of theories about morale, and it is very less directly studied and researched. Okay. So this is the topic of differences. This is the difference between motivation and morale. You can study it and you can understand the basis of the differences and what is the difference between motivation and morale. Motivation is an individual response. Morale is a group behavior. Motivation is a narrow concept. Morale is a wide concept. Motivation motivates the people, and then people can get at the high morale. But a person who is already having high morale will get self-motivated. In motivation, there is a approach of punishment as well as reward, but in morale there is only favorable approach, no punishment is there. Then when we talk about motivation, very direct attention is there, but when we talk about morale, there is indirect influencing of behavior of employees. Then we talk about motivation. Motivation is extensively explored and intensively studied, but very less studies are there in field of morale. So this is the difference between motivation and morale. I hope you get the topic. Then the factor influencing employees' morale. So what are the factors which influence the employee morale? So there are certain factors such as job security, job satisfaction, organizational culture, management style, then self-concept of employee, perception of work and reward. So I think these are just self-explanatory factors. You will get those very easily because these are the factors which influence the employee morale. Because if there will be job security, of course the morale will be high. If there will be job satisfaction, of course the morale will increase. If there is good organizational culture, if the organizational culture is favorable, the morale will increase. If the management style is democratic, the morale will better. If the self-concept of employees, the employees self-motivated, the morale will be better. If the perception of work and reward is favorable, then the morale will be better. So these are the factors which are influences the morale of the employer. Then there is two type of morale, the individual and group morale. So individual morale is a single person attitude towards work, environment, etc. Group morale reflect the general attitude of a group of people. So I think you will be able to understand that individual and group morale, what is the meaning of that. Then we have high morale and low morale. So what are the symptoms of low morale? When a person feels tired, so there is certain symptoms of low morale which is already jotted down in front of you. So you can see that the tiredness, lack of positive feeling towards job, lack of pride in job or work, then high rate of absenteeism, high rate of turnover, bad disrupted mood, poor interpersonal relationship, poor or lack of group cohesiveness, increase in employee indiscipline, bad industrial relationships, strikes and sabotage, then increasing accidents, increasing wastage and spoilage, then decrease in the quality of goods, then decrease in the quantity of the goods. So these are the symptoms of low morale. Then we have symptoms of high morale. So what are the symptoms of high morale? How we can say that the person is having high morale? If there is a feeling of belongingness, if there is a group cohesiveness, team spirit, commitment to organizational goal, feeling organizational citizenship, longer stay with the organization, less need for employee supervision, better interpersonal and industrial relationships, more peaceful and harmonious atmosphere, increased adaptability among the group members, less or no strikes or sabotage, less or no wastage and spoiler, high level of pride in work, increase in quantity and quality of work or performance. So these are the symptoms of high morale. So we can easily distinguish between the people, the person who are suffering from low morale or the people who are suffering from who are having the high morale. So this is the difference in the symptoms of the high morale and low morale type of people. Then how to boost morale? How we can boost the morale? We can motivate employees with your example. So there are certain practice which we can take to boost the morale. So we can motivate employees by examples. We can establish clear and good communication with employees. We can enrich the employee job. Then we can challenge the employee to perform better. Then we can involve the employees as equal member of our team. Then we can consult with the employees. We can empower our employees. Then we can acknowledge and appreciate employees. We can show the care for the employees. We can also create the healthy work environment. We can do some personal things like going out together, like forming a meeting or casual relationship. So these are the ways of boosting the morale of the employees. Then what is the relationship between morale and productivity? So there is a certain relationship between morale and productivity. Number one, there will be high morale and high productivity. You can see in one block. There is one block which is given that high morale and high productivity, and it is when people are very satisfied employee with like someone is having high morale and a high productivity, then he will be very satisfied person. Or if a person will be satisfied, he will show high morale and high productivity. If the people is showing low morale and high productivity, then there will be very strict rules and procedures. Then there is high morale and low productivity, then the person will be incompetent leadership. So these are the relationship between morale and productivity, and there is a graph given here. So there are four symptoms like low morale and low productivity, high morale and low productivity, low morale and high productivity, and high morale and low productivity. So these are the various relationship between morale and productivity. I hope this is the end of the chapter. I hope you like this video and you understand this topic. Let me know in the comment section if you have any queries or any problem. So thank you. I just like the channel and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Keep on watching, keep on learning.
Do you know Abraham Maslow? He published a theory of human motivation in 1943. This is a short text that you can read in an hour or so, and it is free. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is one of the most famous theories in management, also widely used in marketing and human resources. If you want to know about the theory of needs, you should read from the source. According to Maslow, human needs can be ranked from the most fundamental to the highest need: physiological, security needs, love, esteem, and self-realization. Lectures that taught this theory invented a representation as a pyramid, now famous. Also, love needs were renamed belonging needs, as love is not a word that belongs in a classroom. At work, physiological needs can be fulfilled by a fair salary to provide for food, clothes, and a home. Security needs can be fulfilled by a long-term contract, good information on the future of the company, a safe work environment. The need for belonging or love in a professional environment is fulfilled in a good work atmosphere, with teamwork and satisfying interpersonal interactions. Man is a social being who needs to feel he belongs to a community. Esteem needs are linked to positive feedback on the quality of your work. Being rewarded, praised, getting a promotion or a raise, knowing you are useful to the company are ways to fulfill the need for esteem. Finally, the need for self-realization, the highest human need according to Maslow, is all about something bigger. Create your own company, build something that lasts, innovate, change the world. In personal life, the need for self-realization is fulfilled by personal and spiritual development, religion, and culture. The hierarchy of needs in itself is not sufficient to explain motivation at work. First, Maslow adds a rule. A need appears only when all the lower needs in the hierarchy are fulfilled. Let's look at an example with simple human beings, cavemen. At first, our ancestors were seeking food and water, the physiological needs. Once satiated, cavemen could look for a cave, which provides security. It is clear that without food and a source of fresh water, a cave is useless. The need for security does not arise until the physiological needs are fulfilled. Only when our caveman gets it all can he crave for a family, a tribe, the love and belonging needs. Deprive them of cave, food, or water, and the need for a tribe will vanish. This is how the hierarchy works. Only when the tribe is strong and the belonging needs are fulfilled will our caveman look for status, respect, esteem from the other members of the tribe. He wants to become someone, maybe even a leader. Who would look for the esteem of a group they do not feel they belong to? Belonging first, then esteem. Finally, when all the other needs are fulfilled, cavemen can crave for more, something meaningful. Maybe they will want to communicate more, to talk, to sing, and maybe they will want to leave a trace and start to paint. But what's the link with motivation at work, today in our modern life? Well, motivation at work arises from the fourth need, the need for esteem. When you feel the need for esteem at work, it means you look for the esteem of your colleagues and your superiors. And a good way to get that esteem is to work well, to work hard, to be useful, helping. Being all that is a good definition of motivation at work. So to create motivation as a manager, all you need to do is fulfill the first three needs of your team with a special focus on the belonging need. This can be done with simple measures like orientation for new employees, where they are individually presented to each member of the group they must belong to. Managers can promote group work, group incentives like team lunches and drinks, group activities like escape games or paintball, and try to create an authentic relationship with their staff. Remember that without a sense of belonging, there is no need for esteem and no motivation, according to Maslow.